Have you ever found yourself, like, absolutely glued to the screen during the Traitors?
Oh, definitely.
And you're convinced, I mean, really convinced, that you've cracked it. You know who the traitor is.
Yeah, you piece it all together.
Exactly. Every sideways glance, every little muttered word, and you've built this whole theory.
Boom.
Total disaster at the banishment ceremony. Your theory just shatters. It's that mix, isn't it? Intense frustration, but you're also kind of fascinated.
It really is. That feeling when your gut feeling just completely fails you and you realize you were just way off base.
It's more than just, misreading someone's face. Right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That feeling of being completely fooled, it taps into some really deep psychological stuff that this show honestly plays on brilliantly.
It really shows how tough it is for us as people to tell truth from lies,
Yep.
especially under pressure.
Under that much social and emotional pressure, yeah, it's immense.
And that's really why we wanted to dig into this here at the Urban Herald. Our whole mission is to cut through the noise, get past the surface level stuff, and give you, our listener, some really deep, insightful analysis on topics that really hit home today.
Right.
So today, we're not just, skimming an article. We're taking you on a proper deep dive. It's based on some really groundbreaking analysis from our own team here at the Urban Herald. A really unprecedented look at the Traitors and what it tells us about, well, us, human psychology.
And the Traitors, it's really gone beyond just being entertainment. We see it as this incredible, almost unparalleled psychological laboratory.
A laboratory, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah, because it's this contained world where you see deception, trust, social manipulation.
Yeah.
It all just unfolds in real time. It's raw human behavior under, frankly, extreme stress.
Mm.
And our analysis, it doesn't just look at the gameplay like who voted for whom. It digs into why.
Mm.
Why are we generally so surprisingly bad at spotting lies? And why do we cave so easily to group pressure?
And the thing is, this isn't just about a game in some fancy Scottish castle. The psychology here, it applies everywhere. It's got huge real-world relevance. Think about it, the subtle manipulation, how alliances form and break, that breakdown of trust you see on screen. You see echoes of that all the time.
In the office, for sure.
Yeah, office politics, political campaigns, definitely. And social media. Oh, man, absolutely.
It's everywhere.
The show is basically this, masterclass in social deception. And yeah, it shows us some uncomfortable truths about ourselves. But understanding that, seeing it play out so vividly, it gives you tools, practical tools to spot manipulation in your own life, maybe navigate things a bit better.
You really hit the nail on the head there. It's like a super concentrated version of the social challenges we all face every day, just cranked up to 11.
Right.
So this deep dive hopefully will give you some insights from this really unique social experiment, maybe give you a new way of looking at your own interactions.
Okay, so let's start with that central mystery. The thing that jumps out when you really look at the traitor psychology is how consistently the faithful just fail. They fail to spot the liars.
It's shocking, isn't it?
It really is. You'd think with so much on the line, the money, staying in the game, they'd develop some kind of lie detection superpower. But nope. Again and again, they get it wrong. It's baffling when you're watching from the outside.
Well, the numbers really tell a story.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of humbling, especially if you think you're a good judge of character.
Uh-oh, how bad is it?
General research, in normal situations, suggests people detect lies with only about 54% accuracy.
54%. That's basically flipping a coin.
Exactly. Barely better than chance. Now, that's already not great. But here's the kicker. Inside Ardross Castle, with all that stress, emotion, strategy,
Worse.
it plummets.
Yeah.
Among the contestants, accuracy drops to just 42%.
Wow, 42%. So under pressure, your lie detector is actually worse than random guessing.
Pretty much. It completely shatters that idea that we're natural lie detectors. It just shows how vulnerable we all are to deception, even when we're trying really hard and the stakes are high.
So why does it get so much worse in the game? Why are they worse than average when everything depends on it?
Well, Dr. Rachel Molitor, she's a chartered psychologist who's looked into this. She points to something key. The faithful are working with incredibly limited information.
Limited information? How so?
Think about real life. If you suspect someone's lying, you might check their alibi, look for evidence, compare long stories. But in the game, the traitors, they're usually not giving these big, elaborate lies you can pick apart.
They just deny it.
Exactly. Often it's simple, short denials. I'm not a traitor. I didn't murder them. These short statements, they give the faithful very little to actually analyze or find inconsistencies in. It makes spotting the lie incredibly difficult. There's just not much there,
Yeah.
you know.
That makes a lot of sense. It's not about elaborate fiction, it's about these short, believable denials, which kind of leads us to the art of the effective lie itself. Research seems to show the best lies aren't complicated at all.
Not at all. The most effective lies are generally simple, short, and plausible. And crucially, they're often embedded within truthful information. That's the real trick.
Embedded in truth.
Yeah. It's a subtle but really powerful strategy. There's a big study in Nature that looked at deception, and it found successful liars consistently do a few things. First, they weave their lies into a larger story that's mostly true, gives it a natural cover.
So it doesn't stick out like a sore thumb.
Exactly. Second, they keep the overall narrative plausible. Nothing too crazy, nothing that screams no way. It has to make sense in the context of the game. And third, if they're pushed for details, they give unverifiable details.
Unverifiable how?
Specifics that sound real, but that nobody in the castle can actually check or disprove easily, especially in that isolated setting.
So whether the traitors are doing this consciously, maybe tapping into some kind of, I don't know, evolutionary game sense?
Or just figuring it out strategically.
Right. They're basically doing what the research says works best. It's not about being a master storyteller. It's about being subtle, brief, and blending in with the truth.
And this isn't just a game show thing. This ability for sophisticated deception, it goes way back. Evolutionary psychology research suggests we develop these skills not because we're inherently bad, but as survival tools.
Survival tools. Lying.
Think about our ancestors living in complex social groups. Resources were scarce. Alliances shifted. Being able to manipulate situations subtly, maybe hide your true intentions, or influence others without getting caught. That could literally mean the difference between getting resources and being cast out, maybe even life and death.
That sounds like Machiavellian intelligence. I've heard that term. Is that what we're seeing?
That's exactly it. Machiavellian intelligence is that capacity to navigate complex social hierarchies using strategic manipulation, but doing it cleverly enough that you maintain plausible deniability. You don't get caught.
Okay.
And the most successful traitors, they nail this. They manage to show their genuine personality traits. Maybe they really are funny or kind or a good leader, while just hiding their true role. This creates what we call authenticity within deception.
Authenticity within deception. Explain that a bit more.
Think about Harry Clark. He wasn't just acting like a leader. He genuinely has those leadership qualities. He let his natural charisma and strategic thinking show. He just kept the traitor part hidden.
Ah, I see.
By not pretending to be someone they're completely not, they drastically reduce their own cognitive load. They don't have to constantly remember fake details or maintain some elaborate fake persona. It's less mental work.
Which makes their behavior seem more natural, more consistent.
And paradoxically, harder to detect. It's the ultimate strategic move. To be a really good liar, in many ways, you have to stay pretty true to yourself.
That's fascinating. Be more authentic to be a better liar. But even with plausible lies, the faithful seem determined to, well, shoot themselves in the foot. These cognitive biases we all have, they're not just small errors, are they? Our analysis suggests they're fatal flaws in the game.
Oh, they're absolutely critical vulnerabilities. Let's look at a few big ones we see all the time on the show, because they directly lead to the faithful getting it wrong. First up, probably the biggest one, confirmation bias.
Right, seeing what you want to see.
Pretty much. Players get a hunch about someone, maybe based on nothing much at all. Then they start interpreting everything that person does in a way that confirms that suspicion.
And ignoring anything that doesn't fit.
Exactly. They actively seek out stuff that supports their theory and discount or ignore anything that contradicts it. Our research found a whopping 67% of players disregard contradictory evidence. Once someone's tagged as suspicious in their mind, it's incredibly hard to shake that off no matter what happens next.
So if I think you're a traitor because you, I don't know, looked shifty during breakfast on day one,
then every normal thing you do after that, smiling, blinking, contributing to a task, just becomes, see, a traitor trying to act normal.
it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Okay, what else?
Then there's anchoring bias. This means we give way too much weight to initial impressions.
First impressions really stick, huh?
Massively. Those first-day chats, those early alliances, they become the anchor for all later judgments. If someone seemed a bit dodgy early on, that feeling is really hard to shift, even if they act perfectly faithful later. And vice versa, if you bonded early, it's tough to suspect them, even if evidence starts piling up.
Okay, confirmation bias, anchoring bias, and the third one.
The availability heuristic. This one is particularly brutal in a high-drama show like The Traitors. It means we judge how likely something is based on how easily we can remember a vivid example of it.
So the most dramatic stuff gets remembered most.
Exactly. That really loud accusation at the round table, or a heated argument from yesterday, or maybe a really shocking banishment, those emotionally charged, memorable events get way too much weight in their decision-making.
Even if they're not actually that significant.
Right. They overshadow quieter, maybe more logical evidence.
Yeah.
Imagine a faithful player makes one awkward comment early on. Because of confirmation bias, someone latches onto it. Anchoring bias makes that suspicion stick. And the availability heuristic means that one memorable slip-up keeps coming back to haunt them, maybe snowballing into a group consensus that's impossible to escape, even though they're innocent. The loudest noise wins, not necessarily the signal of truth.
Okay, so the faithful are wrestling with their own brains, basically, battling these biases. But the traitors, they're playing a different game, a strategic game. Game theory seems super relevant here.
Right.
You called it an asymmetric information game. Sounds complex.
It does sound jargony, but the concept is simple. It just means there's a massive imbalance in who knows what.
Okay.
The traitors have perfect information. They know who all the other traitors are, and they know who all the faithful are. Complete picture.
But the faithful...
They're operating in the dark. Almost complete uncertainty. They only know their own role. This creates that classic information asymmetry. One side has the map, the other is guessing the path.
And the traitors can obviously exploit that gap. This is where signal jamming comes in, trying to create noise.
That's exactly it. If you're a traitor, your best bet is to obscure any signal that might give you away. You want to create as much confusion, noise, misdirection as possible.
Like throwing accusations around.
Yeah, loudly accusing other faithful to muddy the waters, offering information that sounds helpful but is actually misleading. Anything to make it harder for the faithful to pick out the real signal of truth from all the static you're creating.
It sounds a bit like that original Mafia game principle, the game The Traitors is based on. Didn't the creator, Dmitry Davidoff, say something like, an uninformed majority will always lose to a fully informed minority?
Yeah.
Sounds pretty bleak for the faithful.
He did say that, and his original take was quite pessimistic for the majority. But interestingly, modern game theory analysis suggests it's not quite that doomed. In practice, the odds are closer to even if the faithful can play optimally.
If. That sounds like a big if.
It is a big if. It means they have to resist the emotional pulls, really lean into logic, be disciplined and strategic. And as we've seen, that's incredibly hard under the pressure of the game, with all those biases working against them. The show is brilliant at making simple logic feel impossible.
And speaking of pressure, that banishment vote, it feels like a classic game theory dilemma, the prisoner's dilemma, right?
Yeah.
But with loads more people.
It's exactly that, but scaled up. A multi-party prisoner's dilemma every single time they vote.
How does that mess things up for the faithful?
Well, in the classic dilemma, the safest move for you individually might actually lead to a worse outcome for everyone. In The Traitors, the safest individual move for a faithful is often just to go with the flow, follow the group consensus.
Why is that safer?
Because if you stick your neck out, disagree with the emerging majority, you could suddenly look suspicious yourself. Why aren't they voting with us? Are they the traitor trying to protect someone? So it feels safer to just join the chorus, even if you have doubts.
So everyone plays it safe, follows the crowd to avoid being the next target.
And boom. That often leads to the absolute worst outcome for the faithful collectively. They banish another innocent player.
Because the loudest voice, or the most confident, or just the one who shouted first, carries the day by default.
Pretty much. Because everyone else is too scared to argue. It's a built-in mechanism for self-sabotage for the faithful.
Is there a way out? What does the optimal strategy look like for them mathematically?
What our analysis suggests is the best mathematical approach is for faithfuls to form small, stable coalitions, maybe groups of 4 or 5 people.
Mini teams within the faithful.
Exactly. And, crucially, maintain really strict information sharing within that trusted group. Pool what little information you have, cross-reference observations, try to reason things out together. Create these little islands of logic.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But do they actually do it?
That's the depressing part. The reality is very few do. Our data shows only about 23% of contestants actually use evidence-based reasoning consistently in their banishment decisions.
Only 23%. Wow.
It shows just how powerfully emotion and social pressure override logic in that environment. It's a game that should reward logic, but is played almost entirely on emotion.
So, turning back to the traders, what are the winning formulas for them? Our analysis found two main types, two successful archetypes.
That's right. First, you have the leaders. Think Harry Clark in Season 2.
Yeah, he definitely drove the narrative.
Exactly. These are traders who actively shape the discussions, cleverly redirect suspicion away from themselves, and influence how people vote. They're often front and center, steering the group.
Okay, that's one type. What's the other?
The followers. Like Amanda Lovett in Season 1. Much more subtle.
She was amazing, almost invisible sometimes.
Right. They embed themselves within existing groups, let others be the loud voices and draw the fire, and they operate more in the shadows. Often seen as trustworthy, harmless, maybe even motherly. They fly under the radar.
So both leading from the front and hiding in plain sight can work.
Both can be incredibly effective. But Dr. Molitor adds a crucial point here, tying back to that cognitive load idea we mentioned. She stresses it's vital to be as authentic as possible.
There's that authenticity within deception again.
Yes, because slip-ups will happen. The biggest failures for traders often occur when they try to adopt a strategy or persona that just doesn't fit their real personality.
Why does that cause failure?
It creates intense cognitive dissonance, that mental discomfort when your actions clash with your true self. This makes their lies less convincing, they might seem strained or unnatural, and makes them easier to spot, even if the faithful don't consciously know why.
So Harry's leadership worked because he is a natural leader. Amanda's quiet approach worked because she is maybe more nurturing.
Exactly. They leverage their genuine traits. Trying to be someone you're not is just too mentally taxing and makes you more likely to crack under the pressure. The key is using your true self, just hiding the one crucial detail.
Okay, beyond individual biases and game theory, the traders is maybe the most powerful demonstration I've ever seen of groupthink, especially on reality TV. You see it unfold at almost every roundtable. It's like watching collective intelligence just evaporate.
It really is a masterclass in how easily group dynamics can crush individual reason. Dr. Lalita Suglani, a psychologist, points to three main drivers of conformity that the show just exploits brilliantly, almost like it's designed to.
Okay, what are they?
First, the simple fear of isolation. And nobody wants to be the odd one out, right? Especially when being different could make you the next target for murder or banishment.
Safety in numbers, even if the numbers are wrong.
Precisely. Second, our natural desire for cognitive ease. It's just mentally easier to go along with the group than to fight against the tide, challenge everything, critically analyze every point. Agreeing is less work.
Makes sense. And the third?
A powerful and often totally misplaced trust in the majority. If everyone else seems so sure, so confident about who the traitor is, we instinctively think, well, they must be right, even if our own gut tells us something different.
And the roundtable format itself, where everyone votes publicly, that seems tailor-made to encourage this.
Oh, absolutely. Requiring that majority consensus, where you see exactly how everyone else is voting in real time, it creates this massive conformity cascade. Dissent gets squashed almost immediately.
People just vote with the crowd.
Often, yes. The British Psychological Society noted that contestants frequently end up nominating others based on popular opinion rather than personal suspicion. They ditch their own instincts, their own observations, just to align with the group. It inevitably leads to innocent faithfuls getting voted out. The pressure to conform overrides everything.
And the data on trust within the group is pretty bleak too, isn't it? Trust forms, but it doesn't last.
It forms surprisingly fast, actually. Our analysis shows trust networks. Those early alliances pop up in about 2.3 days on average. People naturally try to connect. But the constant manipulation, the fear, the information warfare, it means only about 34% of those initial trust networks actually survive. Trust is incredibly fragile in that environment.
And the impact of groupthink on actually spotting lies, it's not just bad, it makes people more confident while being more wrong.
That's the truly scary part. When groupthink kicks in, individual accuracy, already poor, remember, around 54% drops by another 31% on average.
So down to like low 30s accuracy.
Yeah, but here's the paradox. At the same time, their accuracy tanks, their confidence in the wrong decisions, actually increases by about 18%.
How does that even work? More wrong, but more sure.
It creates what psychologists call an illusion of validity. It's this false but incredibly powerful belief that because the group agreed, the decision must be right. Even if it's demonstrably wrong, it becomes this self-reinforcing cycle of error. Certainty trumps accuracy.
So no wonder spotting liars becomes almost impossible in that group setting. The social dynamics just amplify all the individual problems.
Totally. Individual accuracy drops from maybe 54% down to that 42% under group pressure. And a big reason is that social biases start to completely override analytical thinking.
Oh, so?
When you have a strong personality, maybe someone perceived as an authority figure or just someone really charismatic leading the discussion at the round table, people unconsciously defer.
They just follow the leader.
Often, yeah. They abandon their own critical thinking
Yeah.
to align with that dominant voice, maybe assuming that person knows something they don't. It taps into that deep instinct to follow the leader in a social group.
And this isn't just about a game show, is it? This groupthink dynamic plays out in the real world all the time.
Absolutely. The same vulnerabilities the traitors highlights are exploited constantly. Think about workplace bullying. A group targets someone and others go along out of fear. Think about political propaganda, leveraging group feelings, biases, the need to belong, to create echo chambers.
Social media, too?
Definitely. Social media echo chambers are perfect examples. Confirmation bias runs rampant. People amplify stuff that fits the group narrative, reject anything that challenges it, all driven by that desire for social acceptance and cognitive ease. The psychological mechanics are identical. It's a chilling reminder of how easily collective reason can just fall apart.
We've talked a lot about the faithful and their struggles, but what about the traitors? It can't be easy maintaining that deception 24/7. Our analysis suggests it's incredibly draining, cognitively exhausting.
It absolutely is, often much more than they probably expect going in. Dr. Molitor put it really well. Holding on to deception requires keeping one's own truth whilst being able to sell the lie so well that it is believable almost to yourself.
Believable almost to yourself.
Wow. And this is where cognitive load theory becomes really important. The sheer mental energy needed to constantly manage the lie, keep the story straight, while also playing the game, tracking suspicions, planning murders, deflecting blame. It's immense. It's like juggling flaming torches while riding a unicycle.
Okay, yeah, that sounds exhausting.
It is. And that's why our analysis shows many traitors start showing visible stress signs, fidgeting more, verbal stumbles, changes in body language, often after just a week or so of keeping it up. The mental bandwidth is just overloaded. Like a computer trying to run too many heavy programs at once, it starts to glitch.
So it's not just telling a lie, it's this constant, intense identity management, mental gymnastics.
Exactly. Being a successful traitor isn't just about spinning one yarn. It's about simultaneously managing your cover story, keeping track of who suspects you, making huge strategic calls about murders and alliances, and doing it all while trying to look totally natural and trustworthy.
The mental checklist must be endless.
Imagine trying to remember every little detail you've said, every half-truth, while also observing everyone else, calculating risks, planning your next move. It's multi-layered, non-stop mental juggling. Very little room for error.
And this actually affects the brain, right? Neurologically.
It does. Neuroscience shows that sustained deception keeps the prefrontal cortex firing constantly. That's the part of your brain handling decision-making, planning, working memory, all the complex stuff.
Okay.
Keeping that part of the brain on high alert all the time leads to what's called decision fatigue. It's like a mental battery draining. You start off sharp, but after days of intense lying and strategizing, that battery gets low.
And when the battery's low?
You make mistakes. Sloppy errors, bad judgments, uncharacteristic slips. This explains perfectly why we often see even the best traitors make seemingly obvious mistakes late in the game. Their cognitive resources are just depleted. The facade starts to crack.
So that idea of authenticity within deception, it's not just clever strategy. It's almost like a way for the traitor to conserve their own mental energy.
Precisely. By presenting real parts of their personality and just hiding the traitor role, instead of inventing a whole fake persona, they massively reduce that cognitive load. It makes their behavior feel more natural, it's less taxing on their brain, and it's more sustainable over the long haul of the game. It's the paradox again. Be true to yourself to be a better, more enduring liar. Hide one big thing, don't try to fake everything.
Okay, so we have the players, their biases, their strategies, but there are other forces at work shaping a whole psychological pressure cooker of the traitors, unseen architects almost, and maybe the most obvious is the host, Claudia Winkleman. Her role seems way bigger than just reading out names.
Oh, absolutely. She's a masterclass in what you might call psychological manipulation through presentation. It's subtle, incredibly effective.
How so? Like her style?
Exactly. Take her fashion, that signature Gothic countryside look. It's not just random. Her stylist, Sened McKeefrey, creates this consistent palette, blacks, grays, earthy tones. This visual continuity becomes associated with tension, mystery, dread in the contestants' minds. It psychologically primes them for paranoia. Fashion psychology is a real thing. What you wear affects how you and others feel and behave. Her look sets a very specific, unsettling tone.
And her questioning. She never directly accuses, but she definitely stirs the pot.
It's a kind of Socratic probing, but weaponized. She uses these knowing smiles, these pregnant pauses.
Yeah, the pauses.
Right. Those pauses, especially before revealing who's banished, are pure psychological torture. They activate the contestants' stress response, flood their brains with adrenaline, making them more susceptible to emotional thinking right when they need to be logical. She plants seeds of doubt with a look, a silence. It's masterful manipulation without saying anything definitive.
So the whole atmosphere is carefully managed. And it's not just Claudia. The castle itself, Ardross Castle, feels like a character in the show.
It absolutely is a psychological actor. Environmental psychology tells us that spaces affect us profoundly. That imposing 19th century Gothic architecture, the shadows, the isolation, it creates spatial anxiety.
Spatial anxiety?
Yeah, a sense of unease, of being watched, enclosed. This makes people more suggestible, more prone to suspicion, less able to think clearly. The building itself amplifies the paranoia and claustrophobia. You can almost feel the history, the secrets in the walls.
And then there's the stuff the contestants don't see, the production secrets. That adds another layer of isolation, right?
A huge layer. It turns out there are over 200 crew members on site, and all of them know who the traitors are.
200? Wow.
Yeah. Dr. Amos, a psychologist involved with the show, talked about the impact. The players feel significantly outnumbered. Imagine knowing that almost everyone around you, crew, producers, even the support psychologist, is in on the secret, and you're one of the few completely in the dark.
That sounds incredibly isolating.
It's profound. In that already unsettling environment, knowing you're surrounded by people who hold the truth creates this immense pressure. It fuels the paranoia, makes it almost impossible to trust anyone, even your closest ally. You're not just playing against the other contestants, you're playing against the entire environment.
Understanding all this psychological groundwork really helps make sense of some of those classic nail-biting moments in the show, those times when the faithful are so close to catching a traitor.
The agony of the near miss.
Exactly. And then it all falls apart because of these biases we've been talking about.
They're perfect examples of motivated reasoning. Remember season 3? With Francesca using her seer power on Charlotte?
Oh yeah, that was intense.
From a pure game theory, logical standpoint, Francesca's move made sense if she was faithful. Accusing Charlotte was the rational play given her power. She was using her unique information to try and help the faithful.
Logically, yes. But that's not how it played out at all.
Not even close. The other contestants, totally swamped by emotion, existing suspicions, group pressure, they completely flipped the script. Instead of seeing it as proof Francesca was faithful and trying to help, they saw it as proof she was a traitor, trying to cause chaos or deflect suspicion.
They basically reasoned backwards from their existing suspicion of her.
Precisely. That's motivated reasoning. You process information to fit the conclusion you already prefer. In this case, Francesca is suspicious. Rather than objectively looking for the truth, they saw what confirmed their bias, not the logical play Francesca made.
So frustrating to watch. Now, flipping it around, what about the traitors who actually win? What psychological traits help them succeed?
Well, one undeniable factor is the halo effect. Harry Clark's win in season 2 is a prime example.
The halo effect, like being likable, helps.
Massively. Our analysis shows that contestants perceived as attractive or confident get about 23% fewer suspicion votes, pretty much regardless of how suspiciously they might actually be acting.
Seriously, 23% fewer.
Yep. Harry's shield strategy worked partly because he was just so charismatic and well-liked. People wanted to trust him, so they overlooked things. That positive glow, that halo, protected him.
Interesting. But then, weirdly, people in normally trustworthy jobs seem to have a harder time, like teachers or doctors?
It's a fascinating reversal, almost like authority bias working against them. We found that players with those traditionally respected professions actually had a 45% higher rate of being eliminated early.
Why would that be?
The theory is that other contestants unconsciously see that expertise or authority as a threat. They think, oh, they're smart, they're strategic, they'd make a good traitor. Their competence makes them suspicious.
So being too competent makes you a target?
It seems so. Conversely, the quiet achiever strategy, flying under the radar, not drawing attention, showed a 78% better survival rate. In this game, being unassuming seems much safer than projecting authority.
Wow. Okay, and finally, those banishment ceremonies. They're the peak drama, but they feel like more than just voting someone out. They feel brutal.
They're designed to be psychologically potent. They function as this ritualized form of social rejection. And that taps into incredibly deep, primal, evolutionary fears.
Fear of being kicked out of the tribe.
Exactly. For our ancestors, being excluded from the group was basically a death sentence. And neuroscience shows that social rejection actually activates the same parts of the brain as physical pain. It literally hurts.
So the show is kind of inflicting psychological pain.
It's amplifying that natural human response.
Mm.
The public voting, the immediate traumatic exile. It's not gradual like real-life ostracism. It's sudden, acute, and very public. This causes real psychological distress for the contestants, which is why many say it's much tougher emotionally than they expected. It hits that fundamental need for belonging right where it hurts. It's a social ritual designed for maximum impact.
So pulling all this together after this really deep dive, what does the traitor psychology ultimately tell us? About society? It really holds up an uncomfortable mirror, doesn't it?
It really does. The show works so well because it's what some call hyper-reality. It's like our normal lives, our daily social interactions, but intensified, cranked up.
Higher stakes, faster pace.
Exactly. The consequences are more immediate, the pressure is higher, but the underlying psychological buttons being pushed, they're completely authentic, completely universal. Dr. Danielle Lindman, who wrote a book on reality TV, put it perfectly. It's like our own lives, but more extreme. A funhouse where everything is accentuated. It reflects our own biases, fears, our capacity for trust, and our capacity for betrayal.
And this isn't just interesting theory. It has real, practical takeaways for you listening right now.
Definitely. Think about business and leadership. Executives could learn a lot about alliance building, social influence, spotting manipulation just by watching the show. The negotiation tactics, both from traitors and faithful, offer real insights for the corporate world.
And for education, it's like a living textbook on cognitive biases.
Absolutely. It's a super engaging way to teach critical thinking, media literacy, how easily our perceptions get skewed. Way better than just reading about confirmation bias.
What about law enforcement?
There are insights there too, maybe around interrogation resistance, reading deception under pressure. Obviously, it's a game, but the behaviors under that stress can be quite revealing.
And just for us, personal growth.
Huge potential there. Watching these dynamics play out helps you learn to recognize the warning signs of manipulation in your own life, whether it's political spin, workplace dynamics, or even just understanding social media better. It sharpens your own lie detector, so to speak.
It all seems to point towards needing better strategic thinking, better understanding of these mind games.
I think so. Success in our complex world increasingly requires metacognitive awareness. That's basically thinking about your own thinking.
Stepping back and seeing the game being played.
Exactly. The best players on the show, traitor or faithful, were the ones who could step outside their own emotions and analyze the psychological dynamics. They weren't just reacting, they were observing, inferring, strategizing based on human behavior.
And that skill feels more important than ever now.
Without a doubt. We're constantly bombarded by attempts to influence us, social media, politics, advertising, often using the very same psychological tricks the traitors puts on display. Understanding these mechanisms is crucial for navigating it all.
So the biggest lesson might just be humility, recognizing how easily we can be fooled.
That's a great way to put it. Epistemological humility. Knowing how easily our perceptions can be manipulated, how often our gut feelings are wrong, even when we feel absolutely certain. It encourages us to question, to think critically, and maybe be a little less trusting of that easy group consensus. Resisting the herd takes courage and clear thinking. Hashtag tag 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 outro working.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive into the psychology of the traitors, let's quickly hit the main takeaways. First, maybe the biggest one. We're way worse at spotting lies than we think, especially under pressure.
Second, group dynamics are incredibly powerful. They can easily overwhelm individual common sense and lead us collectively astray. Third, trust and betrayal aren't just feelings. They're fundamental human behaviors, skills that can be learned, honed, and unfortunately exploited.
Fourth, our environment plays a huge role. That castle wasn't just a backdrop. It actively shaped behavior, just like our own environments do. And finally, game theory gives us a really useful, almost mathematical way to understand why people do what they do in these complex social situations.
The game ends, the contestants leave the castle, hopefully not too scarred.
Hopefully.
But the psychological insights linger. We're more predictable in our biases, yet more mysterious in our motives than we often realize. More capable of fooling others and more vulnerable to being fooled ourselves than we like to admit.
So yeah, we'll probably all be watching the next season, right? Glued to the screen, shouting theories again.
Probably.
But maybe the real question isn't just if we'll watch, but what we'll actually learn about ourselves while we're doing it. How can these insights help us in our own lives, outside the castle walls?
It's definitely worth thinking about. How do these ideas about trust, group pressure, spotting manipulation play out in your world? A powerful lens to carry forward.
Well, thank you for joining us here at the Urban Herald for this deep dive into the human psyche reality TV style. We look forward to exploring more fascinating topics with you next time.